Hi, and welcome to this live reading from A Dress to Remember, a Fairy Tale by K.L. Small, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, The Summons. Princess Zarina was the youngest and most beautiful of King Jowl and Queen Tilda's 13 children. Everyone agreed she also was the most selfish. Not that she cared. However, Princess Zarina did care that she was cold. She stormed around her bedroom high in the castle's north tower. The stone walls held no warmth, and the chill in the air was unacceptable. I want a big fire in the fireplace. Whoever is responsible for the fire should be here. She glared at the barely glowing embers on the stone hearth. A single thin curl of smoke spiraled up the chimney, carrying with it the scent of warm ashes. "He'll be here soon, dearest," Queen Laza, her aunt, said. "He has many fires to start in the morning." Her footsteps tapped against the wooden floor until she stood behind the stool by the table near the window. "While we wait, sit down here and I'll brush your hair." "I'm freezing." Zarina faked a shiver and held her hands toward the fireplace. Her purple frock was fashionable, but the fabric provided little warmth. "Nonsense, dearest. It's springtime, and there's just a nip in the morning air. The sun will warm us before we know it." A tentative knock sounded at the ornately carved wooden door. "Here to do the fire," a muffled voice called from the hallway. "See, he's here," her aunt said. Her voice rose in volume. "Come in." A young boy opened the door slowly. His soot-covered face peered around the room, the whites of his eyes a sharp contrast to his features. "Hurry," Zarina said. "I want a roaring fire to attract the fire fairies." His eyes widened and he made a quick sign of the cross. Then he bowed and scurried to the fireplace with his ash bucket, an armload of wood, and tools banging together. "Princess Zarina, stop scaring the boy with talk of fire fairies." Her aunt patted the stool. "Let me brush your hair." Zarina breezed past the boy without looking at him and sat on the wooden stool, her purple dress ballooning a little as she did. She closed her eyes and inhaled. Having her hair brushed was always a pleasure. The rhythmic movement often put her in a trance. As the silver brush slid through Zarina's long hair, her aunt counted. 1, 2. The brush caught on a tangle and the older woman tugged. "Ouch, that hurts," Zarina frowned. She'd better not pull out any hair. "Sorry, dearest." Her aunt undid the knotted lock and returned to brushing. 12. "No, 3. Zarina relaxed, enjoying the sensation of the brush gliding through her hair. Such a luxurious feeling. The light tug of the strokes on her scalp made her sigh in contentment. With all the stress of her upcoming royal advancement ceremony, she needed to unwind. I could have Auntie do this all day, even if she loses track of the count. 28. A whooshing sound carried from the fireplace. Zarina's eyes snapped open, her peace disturbed. "What's that noise?" Squatting near the small flames that rose from the kindling, the boy said, "Sorry, Princess, it's the bellows." He opened and closed the handles of 2 wooden paddles joined by a piece of leather. A stream of air puffed from the opening at the end. The fire hissed and sputtered. It helps fanning the flames. He tossed several pieces of wood on the fire and waited until the flames licked the dry wood. Then, when the flames were healthy and hot, he departed with a bow. "Hold still, dearest," her aunt said. "I'm not close to 100 strokes yet. I think that was 22. Or was it 21? Poor Auntie, she's so easily confused. I cannot sit still. My royal advancement ceremony is in 2 weeks. The jeweler is preparing my tiara. He let me try it on yesterday. It's stunning. Oh, to be young again. A royal advancement is such a special event." Her aunt paused her brushing. "Was I at 16 strokes?" "Yes, you were," Zarina lied. "And the woodworker is finishing my royal seat for the great room." 17. The older woman slid the brush down the length of Zarina's hair. 18. "Have you told him what you want carved on it?" "I can't decide. It can't be a hairbrush or my face." She didn't know what to tell the woodworker, and he'd been worrying about it for months. "Goodness, no. Everyone else has a carving that suits them." Adran has his crossed swords. Bundra has a horse. I mean, what else would she have? She spends all day on a horse. Her aunt laughed. Each to his own interests. 25. Croft has had a bow and arrow. Her voice quivered. This has been a terrible year. 4 of my siblings dead in 1 year. And all were such strange accidents. Croft was an excellent hunter, killed in a hunting accident. Dayton was attacked by his own dog. Then the twins fell off a cliff while picking flowers. With a sniffle, her aunt dropped the brush. I'm sorry, Princess. The thought of all the losses this year stirs my sadness for my own brave boys and my dear husband. May they rest in peace. She retrieved the fallen grooming tool and returned to brushing Zarina's hair. I can't believe they're all gone and my palace destroyed. Not her sad story again. Zarina glanced over at the narrow window. The swans must be hungry. She left the stool, grabbed her half-eaten breakfast biscuit from the table, and leaned over the window's stone ledge. She tossed pieces of biscuit to the pair of swans swimming in the moat. Good morning down there. The larger white bird glided over to the morsels bobbing in the turbid water and extended its long neck to nibble on the pastry. After a throaty call, the second swan paddled over to dip its beak into the water. The water rippled around the pair. Amaro, make sure you leave some for Bibi, Zarina shouted. Shaking the crumbs from her hands, she returned to the table that held her scented salves and sniffed the roses arranged in a gold vase. She perched on the stool again and fidgeted while her aunt resumed brushing her hair. Princess Zarina! Multiple voices thundered the summons through the castle from the turrets to the storage rooms in the cellar. The pair of swans in the moat honked at the commotion, and their wings slapped the water as they rose into the sky. Zarina jumped from her seat and ran to the window. Oh, they've upset Amaro and Bibi. She leaned over the stone ledge and followed the flight of the white swans. The older woman stood still, her hand frozen in mid-stroke. Oh, dearie me, I've lost count of how many strokes I've done. Hurried footsteps echoed down the hallway leading to the royal bedrooms, followed by a frantic knock at the door. Zarina sighed. I hate interruptions. She turned from the window and shook the wrinkles from her dress. Auntie, I'll remember the count for you. Give me the brush and see who's at the door. When the door opened, a panting messenger rushed into the princess's bedroom and bowed. Excuse me, princess, but King Jowl is waiting for you. Zarina laughed and flipped a lock of hair over her shoulder. How nice. Poppy wants to see me. I'm his favorite after all. Yes, I'm sure he is. Tell him I'll be there soon. Still red-faced and huffing, the messenger bowed and scurried out of the room. The sound of his running footsteps receded quickly. You better hurry, dearest. The older woman wrung her hands together. Zarina returned to the chair and handed the brush to her aunt. I'll go after you finish brushing my hair. You were on 20 strokes. Dearie me, I forgot. With slow strokes, the older woman guided the brush through Zarina's long hair. Such a lovely color, yellow like butter. I prefer to think of it as golden as the sun, Zarina said. Imagine comparing my hair to ordinary butter. Auntie means well, but her choice of words isn't right for a member of the royal family. Poppy will understand. King Jowl is your father, dearest, but he doesn't like to be kept waiting, even by you. And neither does Queen Tilda. Zarina put her hands on her hips. Auntie, why don't you call her by her name? She is your sister. I don't call my brothers and sisters by their titles. You should. It's a sign of respect. That's why she always calls me Queen Laza, even though I no longer have a kingdom. It's respect. Just like hurrying when the king summons you. Very well. Zarina rose abruptly. I don't know what the hurry is. He has every reason to want to see his most beautiful daughter. Oh, dearie me, I shouldn't have said that. Don't tell your sisters I said that. You won't tell them, will you? Of course not, Auntie. It will be our secret. Even though it is true, I am the most beautiful. Zarina kissed her aunt on the cheek. The older woman exhaled loudly. That's a relief. I wouldn't have anywhere to go if the king and queen sent me away. Zarina twisted a length of hair between her fingers. I wouldn't let them send you away. You are family. The castle's large bells rang in a prolonged peal, vibrating the vase on the table. A petal dropped from the tallest flower and drifted to the polished tabletop. Oh, hurry, dearest. The king mustn't be kept waiting. Zarina smiled at her aunt and ambled out the door. Poor Auntie. She worries so much. Poppy will be happy to see me. She took a shortcut down the servants' narrow staircase and used a concealed doorway to arrive outside the great room where King Jowl conducted business that affected the Signia kingdom. She stood outside the double doors and waited to be announced. One servant in a gold waistcoat and matching breeches opened the doors while another proclaimed her arrival. She rolled her eyes at the formality and fluffed the purple lace that adorned the lower part of her dress. The Princess Zarina. The servant extended his arm to signal her entry. She sauntered into the great room, her footsteps echoing in the enormous open space. With her eyes fixed on the throne and the number of seats occupied by her siblings, she moved past the high arched windows and massive pillars with a small frown before forcing a smile again. I thought Poppy only wanted to see me. Her mother and father sat on a raised dais at the end of the room. Behind them, a large banner with the insignia coat of arms covered the wall. The two swans with entwined necks on a navy blue background reminded her of Amaro and Bibi. 6 seats on the king's side were reserved for her brothers, and 6 on the queen's side were for her sisters. Black bunting hung over 4 of the seats, 2 on each side. All the other seats were filled. The empty seats slowed her steps. This has been a hard year. Mother looks so sad, and Poppy has grown old. Until her royal advancement ceremony, Zarina did not have a seat in the great room. As the youngest, she could sit on the steps of the dais or squeeze beside her mother if the queen's dress left enough room for her. I'll have my own seat in 2 weeks, but what should I have the woodworker carve for me? It is nice of you to join us, Princess Zarina, the king said, his mouth tightened in a scowl. Sorry, Poppy. She tilted her head and batted her eyelashes. The king's face relaxed and he smiled. Since you're here now, we can begin. Zarina glanced at her siblings. Their faces wore a mix of worry and concern. She sighed. Frowning made them look ugly. She climbed the steps of the dais and sat on the floor by her mother's feet. The queen stroked the top of Zarina's head, caressing her hair. The king cleared his throat. I've called you here today because there are increasing reports of attacks by marauding forces. From Thadar to the north and Vonland to the south, raiders invaded small holdings and looted weapons, food, and valuables. Some areas experienced repeated assaults. We need to fortify our walls, Prince Adrian said, and prepare to confront these thieves. He slammed his fist into his other hand. Zarina studied her oldest brother. He was next in line for the throne and spent most of his time with the castle guards and warrior troops. Adrian was twice her age and married. He didn't have time for his youngest sister. I hardly know him. I agree, the king said, but we also need to rally our adjacent kingdoms to create a united force. I intend to hold a summit in 2 weeks with all neighboring royalty to plan protection for the region from these raiders. Zarina's head jerked away from her mother's hand. But that's my birthday. Shh, Zarina, the king is speaking. Princess Hannah shook her index finger in Zarina's direction. The king chuckled. How could I forget that? You've been reminding me all year that your royal advancement birthday is coming. As part of the summit, we will have a grand gala. This will be bigger and better than any birthday celebration or royal advancement ceremony we would typically hold. We want to show our guests these raiders do not intimidate us. Clapping her hands together, Zarina beamed. I can wear a ball gown like a grown-up, no little girl dress this time. Yes, the queen said. A smile brightened her lined face. It will be a chance for you to shine. Does that make sense? Prince Adrian asked. We should prepare for war, not hold a party. Others rumbled in agreement. It's my birthday, my royal advancement. Zarina put her hands on her hips. Prince Adrian frowned at her. You're being a selfish little thing. The kingdom's future is at risk, and you're worried about your celebration. With her arms pressed against her chest, Zarina pouted. I am entitled to my special day. Yes, you are, the king said, and we'll share that event with all our neighboring monarchs. In addition, it would be an excellent opportunity for many of you to find your future spouse and make strategic alliances. The queen nodded and glanced at all of her children. Many of you are of marrying age and would benefit from meeting with other royals. The king rose from his throne. Time is critical. The invitations to surrounding kingdoms will be sent today. The castle will host a gala on the first night of the gathering. In the meantime, we need our guards to be on high alert. If you are outside the castle walls, be careful and take care in your travels. He held his hand out for the queen, and together they left the great room. Her siblings' voices swirled around Zarina. Her brother's deep baritone spoke of weapons and armaments, while her sisters were nervous, their conversation shifting from the gala to the fear of attack. Zarina wanted to listen to them, yet her mind could not focus. A formal gala for my birthday. I need a dress people will remember. At the first chance she had to escape the great room, she ran up the winding stone stairs to her bedroom. Auntie, she shouted and thrust open the door. We are having a grand ball for my birthday. I need a special dress, a dress that will not be forgotten. She grabbed her aunt's arms and twirled her around the room. As they danced across the floor, Zarina's aunt stumbled. Oh, dearie me, tell me more. Zarina let go of her aunt, but kept twirling. Poppy says we will have all our neighbors come and celebrate. I can wear a ball gown in 2 weeks for my birthday. The royal seamstress will be very busy if everyone needs new dresses. Stopping suddenly, Zarina put her hand to her mouth. I hadn't thought about that. We can fetch the seamstress right away. Disappointed, Zarina dropped into her bed. I wanted a special dress with all the dresses for my sisters and, of course, Mother's dress. The seamstress won't have enough time to make mine unique enough. Her aunt paced the floor, wringing her hands together. There is someone. Zarina jumped in excitement and raced to her aunt's side. Who? The last time I was in the courtyard, I overheard a conversation about a cottage in the woods where a dressmaker with gifted hands can make one-of-a-kind garments. They say her way with fabric is almost magical. We need to go there. Zarina grabbed a bonnet from her peg by the door and set it on her head. Now? There's no time to waste. Even Poppy said time is critical. She swung the door open and darted into the hallway. Her hurried steps echoed through the corridor and down the stone stairs. Oh, dearie me. Her aunt hastened after her. I have to hurry, Auntie. This is more important than any warning about raiders.